So Turkey's currency crisis has put major pressure on emerging markets. They're getting crushed. Turkey, Russia, Argentina, China, all in bear market territory, down 20% or more from their recent highs. The likes of Greece, Italy, Brazil, and South Korea are in correction territory, down 10% from their recent highs. So how do you trade this right now? Let's bring in our EM specialist, Tim Seymour, Chief Investment Officer at Seymour Asset Management. Are you ready to catch a falling knife yet?
I don't think so. And you know, this is all exacerbated, or certainly one of the manifestations of that is the stronger dollar today. So we're at fresh 13-month highs. Dollar index at 96.50 is a really key level to watch, because this was the breakout level in which we went to, over 100 on that index in 2015. CPI levels here. So what does that mean back to those markets? Bottom line here is Turkey's problems, while I think most of them are their own doing, are also compounding the dynamic of where they sit in Europe, and ultimately that exposure to the European banks that have a lot of investments or have JVs, have partnerships with the Turkish banks. So, to me, this story, first of all, while very fluid, isn't going to get a lot better. I think the reality is, and the sad part about this is, Turkey is, I've spent a lot of time there. I've invested there. There's certainly some of the best industrial companies in Europe. The banking system is very solid. I think they're actually going to weather this storm. But Erdogan has done almost everything wrong in terms of how to position this economy and this market. And for EM, it's just another kind of battle zone. And I think it's not been a good time.
Well, you mentioned that he's done everything wrong. We just saw a big pro-Erdogan rally in Istanbul today. Thousands of people packing this square. And his version of dealing with the crisis is to tell the people who own, say, gold or dollars to go and transfer all of that into lira and prop up his currency. Is there any indication that the central bank or his son-in-law might do something right?
No, and Contessa, the whole point here is that now the structure, at one point, Turkey had a very independent central bank that had a ton of credibility globally. Again, a very large, efficient, liquid market that a lot of international investors know. But no, at this point, I would say that those are, first of all, protests that could be staged. You wonder whether he has positioning of himself in hard dollar currency and doesn't really care about the underlying local currency. But for now, I don't think that this is a time, despite the fact that Turkey is a NATO ally. I think it's an incredibly important country, both in the region, in the world, and to us. I think right now you've got a major ego battle. And Erdogan's been, look, this has not happened overnight. This has happened over the course of the last 3 years, and you've seen that in the currency. It's a currency that even before this week had been under massive pressure.
Tim, let's talk about the impact, though, on other foreign markets. We're seeing a lot of them in bear market territory, not the least of which is Italy. I mean, there is a direct impact here, is there not? And if you're an investor in some of these other countries, what do you need to know, and how do you position yourself going forward when we still have so many unknowns?
Look, the Italian economy also, I think, has a fair amount of exposure to what's going on in Russia. So it's a major trading partner. There's certainly a lot of multinational cooperation. When I look at Italy, I feel a lot better than where we were in 2011 or 2013. I think the economy is somewhere just south of 1.8% GDP. I do think that their budget can withstand some of this. I think the capital markets there are also very strong. I think the reality is, however, we're going into a difficult period where the ECB needs to begin to take liquidity out of the market. And really, I don't know how they tie their hands. The best thing that could happen to the European banks is actually that rates go a little bit higher in Europe. And right now, if anything, they're going lower, with the exception of in the PIGS economies, where you see Italy's rates are starting to get back to those wides that we saw earlier in the summer. And I think the market's going to test Italy. I don't think this also gets easier overnight. I think we have to watch this one.